Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Metroid Other M. In the last part, we again went through more of Sector 1. It's going to be a lot of what this game is. We go through Sector X a certain amount, and now we've reached the Biosphere Test Area, the final portion of Sector 1 by and large. There are still rooms we haven't been to here, but we're not going to be able to go to those for a while. Thank you for opening the door, Adam, I assume. So, this section is... It's not hard, but this is definitely where one of Other M's problems really starts to show, in that they want to make a very story-focused game, which inherently isn't a bad idea. It's worked before in Metroid. I think Prime's story is minimal, but they get stuff done in it. Same with Prime 3. And Dread and Samus Returns do good with telling a story with as minimal as they tell it, so to speak. And Fusion does alright. But in this, they're really trying to, at times, it feels like, make the 7th gen-esque big, super important story kind of game. And while I think there are games that do it a lot worse than this, like, for instance, Metal Gear Solid 4, better game than this, but its story is 9 hours of cutscenes-ish, somewhere abouts there. This game breaks its pace to tell its story, which I feel is not a worse problem, but definitely a more noticeable one on repeat playthroughs or even fresh playthroughs. And the main way they do that, well, we'll see once we climb the staircase.
Hey, Samus.
Hi.
Where's Lyle?
Looks like he's late. Huh?
Hey. The CPU seems to have self-destructed. The central system is broken into parts, but I think I might be able to restore it and recover some of the data. Let's try it.
Like the CO said, there might be some pretty crucial information hidden here. Well, while Maurice here is working his magic, the rest of us should search this building. Am I right?
Got it.
Hey, Princess. Does this view bring back any memories? Yeah. Looks like the training grounds of the Galactic Federation.
So the way this game has you handle some narrative expositure, in a lot of cases, is it just takes away Samus's speed and your ability to fight, and you just do a walk and talk segment of sorts, where you have to find your next objective and just see it. It's slow. It's not so bad in a first playthrough, because even if the story's not well written, you might be at least invested in finding out what happens. Probably, maybe not. I was, but I was also 13, maybe 12, one of the two. It's bad on repeat playthroughs. Like, this section especially is probably the worst of it, just due to the structure of it, because we're going through these halls a lot. But at least it's brain dead enough that you don't really have to put in any effort. With that said, this is a point I can bring up in the game's favor. Anthony, I brought it up earlier, briefly, during a cutscene. Anthony's the best character in the game, bar none. Like, he's the only one that interacts with Samus that I can believe is not only a human, but he has a shred of personality. And I'll go more into my thoughts on Adam as we progress, because Adam we didn't get to know much about back when he was first brought up as an AI in Fusion and all that. But the way that he's set up in Fusion, the way he is in the Metroid manga, and the way he is quote-unquote is in Dread, really make this Adam seem very alien, because he's completely the opposite of what he seems to be. Alright, for this section, they want you to find wherever this beeping's coming from. I think you can use it as the audio cue. Your first guess is probably right, though. Just check the door directly ahead of you. Forced first-person segments. This is probably one of the most egregious ones, because you have to look at the icon on the chest of this thing, which is very tiny and easy to miss.
Adam, are you seeing this? It's a Zebesian, but it's been cybernetically enhanced. What is this thing?
I don't know. Continue your investigation.
Everyone, gather round.
All right. So I managed to recover one piece of data. This bottle ship is under management of the Galactic Federation. In these facilities, life forms from each planet have been raised and researched as possible bioweapons. Site manager and development director, Dr. Madeline Bergman.
Adam, was the Galactic Federation experimenting with bioweapons?
Looks like it.
Use of bioweapons is strictly prohibited.
Of course it is. What's happened here is illegal.
Who is Madeline Bergman?
Must be the person in charge here. Is that all you got?
I didn't need to press Adam about it any further. I knew his mind. Not only was he a strong opponent of bioweapons, he was against the use of living things for unnecessary reasons, period. Life, no matter what form it takes as it's born into this often cruel universe, should not be tampered with. That was Adam's philosophy. In bringing the infant Metroid back, I did something that I know would have gone against his convictions. And though I might have been left alone, it was a clear and blatant violation of protocol. I wondered what Adam thought of me.
Why?
Out of nowhere, I suddenly found myself concerned with his opinion again.
You don't need it!
They've almost gotten it completely restored. But I'll bet they've protected this thing with a seriously sophisticated security system. If I can't get past it, James, that'll be where you come in.
Leave it to me. Shouldn't be a problem to hack into this thing. I mean, it might tell us what exactly was going on here. Looks like this might take some time, though.
Madeline might still be somewhere in this building. Keep scouting for more intel. Let's go.
You might be wondering why the Zebesians are called Zebesians when they're normally just known as space pirates. Apparently Sakamoto at some point revealed that they more or less became the indigenous life forms of Zebes after they wiped out the Chozo that were there. Sakamoto himself compared them to being immigrants to America calling themselves Americans after taking up official residence. So essentially colonizers. With that said, that cutscene highlights one of my biggest issues with this game's writing, in that Samus thinks all this stuff about Adam, but she seldom directly talks with him. Like, he'll give you updates here and there and authorize you getting new equipment, but you seldom talk with him. And I feel that could have really helped with the game's characterization, if, say, there were just moments where Samus and him talked more, like even just when you're doing level design, like, hey, you remember this story? Or like incidental dialogue where you just learn more about them and maybe they start to slightly reconnect after all this time apart from each other, even if it's just in a very professional sense. A lot of missteps with this game's writing, I feel. A lot of missed potential, too. First person segment, look up. I think you see the moving things. Look at them.
Get back!
I want all the soldiers to evacuate this area. Samus, your orders are to take care of all enemy targets.
Alright, time to face off against some good old space pirates. With that said, space pirates are probably some of the most susceptible enemies in the game to the overblast mechanic, because their backs are not only large and they're tall, but their HP thresholds that I feel are there that prevent you from overblasting are very slim, so you can just combo them one after another. In fact, I think there's times you might see in this LP where I overblast one and then get overblasted right to another. Lethal striking them is honestly a little bit harder, if only because, well, yes, it's easy to tell when they're available to be lethal strikes because they're just on the ground, not doing anything. Usually you might get locked into other animations first. But that said, not for nothing, I like these designs for them. I like the somewhat cybernetic look. It's not their iconic look in some regards, but I'm down to them interpreting the character like this. Would have been nice to see like a statue of these ones at some point or another, but that would require there to be any form of modern Metroid merch in some regards in any official standards. I'm still waiting for the Metroid Figmas to get reprinted because I want the Prime Samus one. Maybe when Prime 4 gets a release date. Maybe someday. And that is one of the most sudden transitions back into walking I've ever seen. God, I wish they would let you run at normal speed at this point at the least, because now we need to get all the way back to the main room where we've been talking with everyone so far. Thankfully, if nothing else, while this area is very samey looking, it is small, and this is the only time we need to come here in the game. No power-ups really to grab here. This is mostly just here for story stuff. With that said, I would recommend, if you're running low on time, save, because you're coming up on not only a long cutscene, but some other stuff as well. I think the next save point isn't for at least another 20 minutes-ish. They do a good job of placing them at pretty frequent times, but just to be certain. Also, if you're wondering what that transition was, that was the end of one recording session, and this is the start of another. Next boss fight's against the mysterious creature here, and I died to him just straight up, because the annoying thing about this fight is to damage him, you need to shoot missiles at his tail, which is also his main form of attack. But the tail is very fast, it'll swap from side to side very often, and at times you have such little reaction time to it that the only way you're meant to really hit it is just by holding the gun out and just mashing the button, hoping it fires a missile first. He does a lot of damage. This is a rough boss fight. Thankfully, if you die, you get a checkpoint right here, and you're just thrown right back into the fight. And, admittedly, the clear condition, I believe, for this is either to last a certain amount of time or reach a certain HP threshold. It's a cool idea for a boss fight, because I think this is the only boss fight in the game that's entirely in first person. At least that's a proper boss fight. So then they could have done more with stuff like this, I feel, just to make it a bit more, I don't want to say Metroid Prime-like, but definitely aligned and adjacent to it, so to speak. So, did it know that wall was there, or was that just lucky?
You okay, princess? I wanted to give you some cover earlier, but this thing takes forever to charge. I'll save the next shot for you. Not that you'll need it.
Hey! Come over here!
What's up?
Lyle's down. He looks like a pile of rags. What's gotta happen to a guy to make him look like that?
Well, we're down one member. No, if anything, went longer without one of that happening than I thought we would when I first played the game. But we got a forced first-person segment. Just look at this stuff.
An empty shell.
Looks like that monster from earlier infiltrated Sector 3. Samus, follow it.
But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 7, this was part 6, we're going to be heading on over to Sector 3 to follow whatever the hell that thing was. See you guys then.